What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Suave coming at you with another video. And today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite characters and one of the most interesting people I've heard of recently, right? And these two people are both called Dazai. And I'm not going to try to pronounce their last name because I'm going to butcher it. But I'll leave their names in like the description down below. And what I'm here to talk about, right, is not the body of work of the author or how interesting of a character Daza is. To some extent, I will be going into that, but it's not about that. It's about the relationship, the differences, and the similarities that these two people and or characters hold. And the first thing that I want to talk about, which is probably the most obvious thing, is the suicide. The suicide, right? So, as we, as most of us know who have watched Bungo Stray Dogs, know that Dazai tries to suicide all the time. And we take it as comic relief at first, right? But then we realize that he's doing this for a greater purpose, for to find meaning in his life, to find the real meaning of life. And this relates to the author because the author also tries to suicide, right? And most of the time it's for the same reason, but sometimes he tries to suicide because of depression and all this other stuff that makes you want to suicide. And I truly think that this is terrifying. To suicide multiple times. To try and suicide multiple times and not accomplish it. Well, but of course, the author does commit suicide at the end of his life, and it's kind of poetic, if you will, because he's tried so many times, and when he finally does it is after he's met the person that he wanted to meet, is after the wife and the child, after all this other stuff. And the suicide, man, at the end of his life is poetic but truly sad. And this is true to Dazai too, because what better way for Dazai to die if not by sacrificing himself and dying from suicide? I think that's a poetic thing. And the suicide really makes you think, like, wow, these characters have really struggled. This author has really struggled, which they have. Dazai has struggled. The author struggled in his life. It's not easy living through the World War II life. It's not easy seeing your culture get destroyed after the fact of World War. It's not easy to take all of that stuff in. It's not an easy period to live in, especially if you're Japan and there was 2 nuclear bombings in your country. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. And I wouldn't say that I agree with them suicide, because I don't. But I understand why they try. I truly do. But I would never say to someone to kill yourself, because you can't find the meaning of life through dying. You have to live through it to fully know your purpose and meaning in your life, right? And another thing that they relate in, right, is the contradiction, right? See, the author Dazai had these very dark and gloomy. I'm talking about his stuff was so dark. It'll make most of this dark stuff that we have today seem like light, because what he writes about is humanity. What he writes about is people descending into that territory of of no longer human, right? And it's just sad to me because although they have all this gloomy and darkness in him, he is able to find humor in it and incorporate it in his literature and in his novels. And as we know, Dazai, the anime character, is mostly comic relief when he tries to suicide, which shows the contradiction, right? Suicide is this dark and terrible thing, but then he's like comedic about it, and it's terrifying. If that does not terrify you, I don't know what you be watching that you've been so unsensitized. But damn, that is terrifying. To want to end it all, but still seeing the humor in the world, it's just sad. It's just sad. But one of the biggest differences is how they approach their life. Dazai, the author, at the end of his life, abandoned everything for his craft. He abandoned everyone and everything. And if you do that, because he believed that he was not worthy of the things that he had, he thought that he was not worthy. And at the end of his life, he abandoned everything and everyone for his craft. And then he killed himself. But with Dazai, it's different. And this is where Dazai is such an interesting character. And I love that they added this to his character. His backstory is one of the best that I have ever seen in all of anime. And when you see him in his dark era, where he's this badass mafioso that is over here taking over as a youngling, oh, it's great to see. But you see that he's not the same. He's much darker. He has no mercy. He has no sympathy. His empathy is not to be found. But then he finds these two friends. He finds his best friend, and his best friend is changing. He changes. Makes Dazai change. His best friend goes through a very tragic path, right? Where he has to save these people and fight them, and at the end, he realizes the error in his ways and wants Dazai to live a good life. And this is the part where the author and Dazai connect, because they didn't know if they deserved a good life. They didn't know how to live a good life. And it's truly sad. But what differentiates them is that one scene where Dazai's best friend tells him to be good, because when you are good things happen to you. And I think that's very true. It is very true. But also can be very false, if you know what I'm saying. Because we all know that the worst things happen to the goodest of people. We've all seen this happen. And it's actually sad. But I think that the biggest reason why I would say I love Dazai, the anime character, is because one, the person that he derived from is so interesting as well. But also, the differences that they give Dazai only enhances the character. And every time that you see him being cheerful or helping his friends and doing the right thing, this is because someone set him on the right path. And if you take anything from this video today, I just want you to know, and I want you to listen to this clearly. Everyone in this life that you are living has to find its purpose and meaning. Don't ever think that it doesn't have purpose and meaning. Do not try to find it through the means of ending it. Everybody needs someone to guide them on the path. Everybody needs a nudge sometimes. Everybody needs support. And this is best identified in Bungo Stray Dogs. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs a crew. Everybody needs that one friend that will always be there. And sometimes that one friend that's always there for you will encourage you to change and will set you down the right path. But with all that being said, remember how terrifying these Dazais are, because their story is not only contradicting, dark and gloomy, but also comical in the eyes of some. And that, my friends, is why it's terrifying. But with all that being said, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit that ding dong. And with all that being said, Swab out.